Time now for Media Watch. James Creedon is here with us in the studio. We're doing things a little differently tonight, aren't we, James?
Indeed.
We normally talk about France, but tonight we are talking about reaction to the release of the Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit, now back home with his family in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Now, it was a lot of stuff going on this morning, wasn't there? But one of the first images we saw of Shalit was on Egyptian television. He was interviewed by that Egyptian female journalist.
Nile television, exactly.
Right, and some people said it was quite distressing to see Shalit.
We have some of those pictures actually. Right. It was the first time the first interview he gave, and he does look actually quite shaken in some of the pictures. If we could just have a look at them now, because you can see at one point he's almost caught for breath. He
looked like he was going to have a panic attack,
emotional,
didn't he?
Absolutely, and he seems quite emotional indeed.
So
in any case, I'm not sure if we have the pictures, unfortunately.
There we are.
And so there is a point during that interview where it looks like he's not that happy to be there. And what's more, during that interview, he said that he would be happy to see all Palestinian prisoners freed. So obviously this is a message that perhaps the Israeli authorities would not necessarily want Gilad Shalit to be communicating. And indeed, they probably weren't happy with the fact that straight away he was put on Egyptian television without even being debriefed by the Israeli army. So you see then a very different story in terms of the media coverage of it once he gets back into Israel. The Israeli, and we can have a look online here.
Because the Israeli media were criticising the Egyptian television network for doing that. They said that it shouldn't have happened at all.
Absolutely. Now, she seemed to be giving an interview that wasn't altogether aggressive, but perhaps the very fact that there was an interview and the fact that she was pressing him on certain questions was de facto aggressive. But in any case, you can see here the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, tweeted this photo where Shalit was speaking to his family for the first time after 5 years, first picture of Gilad Shalit. Also on Storyful, they've been collating and bringing together photos. This was also issued online by the Israeli Defense Forces. You see him coming off a helicopter. So very much an attempt, once he gets back within Israel, to reappropriate the image of Gilad Shalit. And of course, as is always the case when hostages return home, there is a period where they have to speak to the authorities, speak to the Israeli army, before then going public, I suppose, to find out what exactly happened. And so there you go. You can see that there is, I suppose, a bit of a tug of war in some senses over the image of Gilad Shalit.
Well, all the journalists wanted to be the first, didn't they, to get that image of him.
Absolutely, and Nile television were the first, I guess. Now, in any case, a lot of jubilation online as well. You can see that on both sides, because, of course, this was a prisoner swap with 477 Palestinians being released for now. So you can see here a jubilant tweet. Such a long but great day. I wish more prisoners would be released so that each mother will have her child in her arms. On the Israeli side, a similar sentiment. Wow, what an emotional day. Amazing to know that he is back home with his family, sleeping in his own bed. In the Jerusalem Post, also a lot of jubilation. It's like walking on the moon. Those were the words of one neighbour of Gilad Shalit, who said she cried for about an hour when she found out the news. This is a left-leaning Israeli blog called Plus972, Israeli website more than a blog. They're wondering, what will Hamas do with its new political capital?
Right, because this has been a huge PR day for them, hasn't it? We've seen green flags all over the place.
Exactly, and I suppose a bit of a tug of war between Fatah and Hamas. They signed that peace agreement in Egypt some time ago, but it looks like they're still vying for power. There is a power struggle between the two, and as this article says, in recent months Gaza has begun to resemble a state of its own, and Hamas has even started issuing visas for entry into the coastal territory. And this exchange deal certainly has proven, Hamas is proving itself capable of negotiating with Israel. So it's a big coup for Hamas, and they're also talking about that.
Okay, and there's been a lot of talk as well about the perceived unfairness of this deal. One Israeli soldier in exchange for hundreds and hundreds of Palestinian prisoners released from Israeli jails. What's been the reaction?
One, just on the Palestinian side, there is a reaction from Youssef Munayyer. He is the head of the director of the Palestinian Center in Washington, D.C. He's been tweeting about it, and various things that he's been saying are, sure, 1,000 to 1 sounds uneven, but don't forget Palestinian prisoners are mostly just being relocated to a larger prison. So they're saying, yes, lots of people were released, but they're going into Gaza, which he considers to be a larger prison. And he's also saying here, asymmetry in prisoners between Israel and Palestine is about asymmetry in power and ability to arrest. So yes, there is a lot of discussion about that. Quick look at the French reaction, because of course he is half French. And you'd almost presume from this headline here, Le soldat Gilad Shalit, bientôt en France.
He's coming to France now,
You'd almost think that he had been kidnapped on French territory. And indeed Sarkozy has said that he would be delighted to receive him. So there you go. That's just a quick look at some of the reaction in the Israeli and French press.
Great stuff. It has been a day of real media frenzy, hasn't it, on the television and on the internet as well. All right, let's just very quickly talk about what's happening in France, because there's a bit of a muddle, isn't there, over domain names for the
Right.
French political campaigns.
I'll tell you this one quickly because there's another one I want to get in afterwards. I'm being very greedy in terms of stories. Anyway, François Hollande, who's going to take on Sarkozy in 2012, he hasn't yet bought the domain name for the website Hollande 2012. So actually, what happened was this marketing person bought it up and is advertising the fact that he is unemployed and wants a job. So, but actually, Nicolas Sarkozy, get this, he put his domain name up. He bought Nicolas Sarkozy 2012 back in 2004, 3 years before his initial election.
A bit presumptuous.
It was a little bit presumptuous.
Okay.
And just one thing about a Scrabble championship.
very quickly, go
Scrabble
ahead.
Scrap. This is in Poland, the World Scrabble Championships. And one British player was accused of having stolen the letter G. And the Thai player who was accusing the
Cheating.
Brit of doing this, he said he wanted him to be strip searched to prove that the letter G had not been stolen by this cheeky
Only
British
about 3
player.
points, isn't it, a G?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he really needed the G. I don't know. So there's been lots of fun headlines with that, such as asked to empty his pockets after a G goes missing.
As in G, as in
Yes.
gangster.
G, missing. Exactly. So
Brilliant.
there you go.
Love
AP
it,
and others
James.
making fun out of that.
Had to get that
particular
in. Love it at Scrabble, actually. We should have a match sometime.
story. Absolutely. Bit of a laugh. Okay, that's a date.
All right, you got it. James Green, thanks very much
Thanks, Farah.
indeed.